Here for you.
Tonight, a standoff between protesters and law enforcement turning physical in front of the ICE detention facility down in Dilley. Officers lining up face to face with protesters. Then things get out of control. A few moments later, pepper balls deployed, hitting protesters and even members of the media, including a News 4 photographer and reporter. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jonathan Martinez.
I'm Mandy Noel. News 4 was the only station to bring you this confrontation and standoff with protesters live this afternoon right here on News 4 and live on news4sa.com, our YouTube channel and Facebook page. Tonight we're bringing you team coverage behind the reason for the protest and 2 rallies in San Antonio held after the events in Dilly.
We kick off our team coverage with a look at how a peaceful protest ended up in people being pepper sprayed and threatened with arrest. A chaotic scene outside of an immigration detention facility in Dilly. That's where demonstrators clashed with DPS troopers. The protest quickly escalating as a line of law enforcement can be seen coming face to face with protesters who are being asked to leave when the shouting and shoving begins. Law enforcement using batons to push the crowd back, and moments later, pepper ball grenades are deployed into the crowd. As smoke fills the air, a closer look to the left of your screen showing law enforcement taking 2 protesters into custody. And we are coming on air because we are following a developing situation in Dilley, Texas. News 4, the only station to break into programming to bring you the story as it unfolded. DPS still holding that line, but also telling folks that they need to leave and threatening to possibly arrest them. On the scene, more screaming can be heard, along with many people coughing and choking, saying they were struggling to breathe.
As usual, they resort to inhumane tactics.
Right now, people are just trying to get away from those effects that they are enduring from the chemicals.
Nearly a half an hour after things reached a boiling point, most of the protesters leaving the scene, but many saying their fight is far from over.
Every breath burns a little bit, but again, like standing up for our rights here. If we don't stand up for our rights, they take them.
DPS says they were at the facility at the request of the city of Dilly. They go on to say that after dispersal orders were given, about 150 demonstrators refused to leave and breached a protest barrier and spit on officers. That's when law enforcement deployed the pepper ball grenades. 2 men were arrested after allegedly throwing plastic bottles and other objects at troopers at the protest. Robert Paget from San Antonio and Gavin Pope from Canyon Lake now facing charges of interfering with public duties and resisting arrest. They're now being held at the Frio County Jail.
The protest at Dilly centering on the detainment of 5-year-old Liam Ramos, the Minnesota boy taken into custody and brought to Texas along with his father. Democratic Congressman Joaquin Castro shared this picture on social media of him visiting with Ramos and his father. Tonight, several state representatives, including Castro, taking to the steps of City Hall after visiting the Dilley Detention Center, calling for the boy's release. News 4 San Antonio's Destiny Fuller continues our team coverage tonight. She joins us live downtown with the very latest. Destiny.
Yeah, Jonathan, Mandy, these steps of City Hall were very, very busy earlier, but the press conference ended earlier than expected because there was a little bit of back and forth between people who are in favor of ICE operations and people who were against them. But before that event ended, some of the leaders that we heard from say that they were planning to make it very clear that they want to see that 5-year-old released immediately.
When immigrant rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. What do we do?
Calls for change raining from the steps of City Hall as state and local officials called for the release of 5-year-old Liam Ramos from an immigration detention facility in Dilly.
Liam Ramos should be released immediately.
Democratic U.S. Representatives Joaquin Castro, Greg Casar, and Jasmine Crockett, joined by state leaders who all visited Liam and his father at the facility, saying what they saw is unacceptable.
You know is that your friends are gone, you have one set of pants, one shirt. Your dad washes your pants and your shirt out every single day and then hangs it by a unit to try to dry it overnight. They continue to house children there, and they are not getting any education.
Crockett says none of the people being held at Dilley's detention center have a criminal record, calling on the community to join efforts to stop ICE operations as they stand.
And so that puts all of us on alert. And for San Antonians, this is not the fight we have asked for. but this is the fight that we need to finish.
while also asking national leaders to step aside.
They have to stop detaining and deporting innocent people like Liam and his family. We need them to get out of our courthouses like they are here in Bexar County. Stop the warrantless arrests, and we must impeach the people responsible. Christy Noam and Stephen Miller have to go yesterday.
Tensions growing during the event as those who support ICE say things are fine just the way they are.
All of you are horrible people. We don't want illegals.
And those elected officials that we heard from earlier today saying that they'll push to do whatever they need to make sure that immigrants in the United States are treated humanely, but most importantly, that no one else has to go through what Leo Ramos has. Live from City Hall, Destiny Fuller, News 4, San Antonio.
Well, a little over an hour after Democrats wrapped up their news conference here on the steps of City Hall, they traveled to the west side to the Stand for Humanity rally against ICE violence.
News 4 San Antonio's Karina Hollingsworth joins us live from Progresso Hall. She continues our team coverage. Karina, tell us about the turnout.
Mandy, Jonathan, over 300 people showed up here at Progresso Hall tonight calling for the release of 5-year-old Liam Ramos from the ICE Detention Center in Dilly. The building quickly reaching capacity, leaving over 100 people waiting outside.
One of the people left waiting outside was Judith Collard, who says she showed up because this image of 5-year-old Liam Ramos broke her heart.
And it's traumatizing for a child to have to go through that and for the rest of his life. That's something he's going to have to deal with.
This picture, taken earlier today at the Immigration Detention Center in Dilly, shows Democratic Congressman Joaquin Castro visiting Liam and his father. Castro says what he saw worried him because Liam is showing signs of depression and slept almost the entire time.
There were kids, little kids running around Dilly who were the age of your grandkids. And instead of being out free at a school, playing around on a playground with their friends, they're in a prison.
Rep. Castro says he's troubled by the number of children being kept at the detention center. U.S. Rep. Jasmine Crockett also calling for Liam's release, telling people to not live in fear.
They want you to be scared. That's why they want to have officers out there killing people in broad daylight, because they want you to say, never mind, that's not my business. I'm gonna stay home with my family.
While other people at the rally shared their despair.
You know, it hurts my heart because that could be my child. It could be any of our children. And it bothers me that this is where we're at in America today.
The congressional leaders were also joined by Sheriff Javier Salazar and Judge Peter Sakai, all calling for Liam's release. Reporting for News 4 San Antonio, I'm Karina Hollingsworth.
Tonight, new video shows ICU nurse Alex Preddy interacting with federal agents earlier this month, 11 days before he was shot and killed by 2 agents in Minneapolis. Tonight, those 2 agents who fired the shots this past Saturday, now on administrative leave. A preliminary DHS report says Preddy got into a fight with officers. However, the report backs off of an initial claim that Preddy was shot after waving a gun.
Tonight, the government is heading towards a partial shutdown if lawmakers cannot agree over immigration enforcement. Senate Democrats warn they will not back funding for Homeland Security without additional oversight provisions. Proposed reforms include an end to roving patrols, tightening parameters around warrants, enforcing a code of conduct, requiring agents to remove masks and to wear body cameras.
In the wake of ICE's abuses and the administration's recklessness, the Senate must not pass the DHS budget as currently written.
I think the administration is willing to sit down with them and have a discussion, perhaps a negotiation about how do we move forward. But the one thing I do know, and that is that a government shutdown is not in anybody's interest.
The deadline to avoid a government shutdown is Friday night at midnight. If the shutdown happens, funding will stop for several departments, including the Departments of Defense and Transportation. ICE and most DHS operations would continue because of past funding boosts.
News 4 will stay on top of the protests in Dilley, the shooting investigations out in Minnesota, and the countdown to the government shutdown. You can also get the very latest anytime on our website, news4sa.com, and be sure to download the News 4 mobile app to get updates sent straight to your phone.
Tonight, too close for comfort.